Viva Chile, viva Chile, a Chile quiero, chileno yo soy.
Red Hot Chili, glad you joined us today, the first show of May 2014, and right on the heels of May Day, or Labor Day here in Chile. It's a fall, and so here on the coast we've got some sort of cloudy, or I wouldn't even call them cloudy, just foggy days, and it still clears off towards the end of the day, but it'll start raining here in just a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks maybe, and then it'll be the rainy season for a good 3-4 months, and then of course it'll be dry again. Basically it doesn't rain. It's very rare that it rains at all for about 7-8 months out of the year in the central part of Chile, just much like California and Italy. Glad you've joined us, as I said, and we are going to have a show filled with all sorts of interesting topics today. The main topic of the day is, how much do I need to retire in Chile? And, you know, when I've got a certain amount of money, where can I live? I want to really focus a lot on that. It has to do with one of the latest blog entries I put up on Escape America Now. If you have a question or comment for the show, you can be sure to send it to chileadvisorygroup@gmail.com as always. And do check out the blog, EscapeAmericaNow.info, and buy the books, Life in Chile, A Former American's Guide for Newcomers, as well as Expatriates to Chile, Topics for Living. If you're coming down to this country, you really should be prepared, and those things are there to help you get prepared. We're also going to be talking about the little earthquake that happened this last week, some slang words, student and labor union demonstrations, what's happening in unemployment and the dollar, the vote that's coming up on foreigners or Chileans living abroad being able to vote, and we're going to talk about guns too and how they get registered here in Chile, displacing some myths. All that's coming right up on Red Hot Chili. We'll be right back after the break. All right, and we're back again on Red Hot Chili. You know, I wanted to just take a couple matters of housekeeping up right from the beginning of the show today. A number of people have been interested or taking advantage of the special consulting rate that I gave a few weeks back. That was reducing the regular $995 initial consulting fee down to $100. And apparently, as I find, there's a lot of people who simply are not listening to the show right when it airs on Friday noon, Eastern time, time of New York, or not Santiago time is also the same at this time of the year. Or they're just delayed. They don't hear it right away. Maybe they're not even listening to it in the next 3-4 days. And so people are writing in saying, well, boy, you know, how can I take advantage of this still? I mean, is it still going on? I'd only offered it for a couple of weeks. But I'll tell you what, and last week I told you I boosted it back up to $500. For those of you who are still interested in doing consulting for the $100 rate, and just to be sympathetic and show you what a nice guy I am, I will go ahead and extend that for the next 2 weeks as well. So if you're interested in doing the consulting at a reduced rate, and you missed out the first time because you're listening to the show sort of late, you're downloading these podcasts or whatever they are later on, I'm going to go ahead and extend that through the middle of May, the second show in May. Actually, just say the middle of May, how about the 15th of May? We'll make that our cutoff date, and then it will go back to the $500 rate for a while, and then it's going to go back up to the regular rate again after that. Just want to take care of that quick housekeeping, because I know some people are very interested in taking advantage of that, and they just were not able to because they don't listen to the show just currently. They're always catching up. Also wanted to take care of the slang words right off the bat here today, because we have so many other things to talk about. Here's 5 slang words, and I should remind folks again, we're on YouTube again now that our producer Joe Johnson is in country here enjoying the wonderful lifestyle we have here in Viña del Mar, specifically oftentimes in Santiago too. I want to take advantage we want to take advantage of as much YouTube opportunity as we can, so we're on YouTube again. These are the 5 slang words for the week. The first one you hear a lot in Chile is agüita. Agüita. And I guess you technically should say agüita, but in Chile, they really don't say that. Agua. That's the word for water, obviously. Agua. You hear that more in Peru, maybe, or Mexico. In Chile, it's sort of agua. Yeah, agua. And in this particular case, it's agüita, like a little water. Agüita. And what they mean by agüita is a herbal medicine or medicinal kind of tea. Herbal medicinal kind of tea. And Chileans will boil just about any leaf. If you give them one that tells them it's a good deal, you see them with all sorts of leaves, dried leaves around. They'll boil stuff, and I don't know if I'd drink it if I were you. My wife's constantly trying to give me something, as she says is good for stomach aches when you have one of those, not constantly. Whenever I have a stomach ache, she's trying to give me one of those. I don't know if it works or not, but it might just be the the Tylenol or something else I'm taking along with it. But anyway, when you hear that word agüita, quite often you're talking about somebody who boiled some herbal tea and wants to give it to you for your stomach pains. They do also use agüita in the north when they boil cocaine leaves for altitude sickness. And I've done that, and that does actually help a bit. So when you go up there above 4,000 meters, up to 15,000 feet, say to 18,000 feet where the road surface is, the air is really thin, and you need to do something to help your body get accustomed. That herbal tea does work out well when it's boiled cocaine leaves. I hear it's not dangerous, not addictive in any way, by the way, in case you're wondering. Next slang word is al-lote. That's two words, A-L and then space L-O-T-E. Al-lote. You hear that a lot, and that means carelessly. Carelessly. There is the word bailoteo. Bailoteo. You hear the word bailar in there, which sounds kind of like ballerina because it means to dance in Spanish. Bailoteo means a party with dancing. And bolsear starts with a B, a large B, is, and I say large B because I'm used to saying that in Spanish. In Spanish, the B and the V sound identical, at least here in Chile, and probably everywhere else in the world. And so they say large B and little b so that people can distinguish what they're talking about. They also say short and long B. It's the only way they can distinguish, so that's why I made that little flub in English by saying a large B, because we only have one. B is pronounced with the teeth on the lips, and that's not the way the B is pronounced. And in Spanish, it's somewhere in between. They understand both kinds of sounds. You can pronounce the B like the B or a ba, and they'll take it either way. But bailotea is with a B, and it means to party, a party with dancing. Bolsear is also a word with a B, a large B. Large B again, there we go. To ask for is what it means, to ask for in Chile. We also have another one with a B, and that is the bomba. Now, bomba in Spanish normally means a bomb, or it can also mean a pump. That's kind of interesting, two different words completely for the same thing. But in Chile, it doesn't mean either of those things necessarily. It means a gas station. Now you can think, well, I guess in the gas station they're pumping the gas, and that has something to do with a pump, right? Well, that's true. So I suppose that's where the expression really comes from. Hopefully not thinking about a bomb, but when they go to the bomba, they're talking about going to the gas station. So there's your slang words for the week. All right, let's move on to some current topics in Chile. I know you've been waiting to hear about some of these things. Well, on Wednesday, there was yet another earthquake, 5.1, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I was actually on one of these little buses that go around Viña del Mar, and I didn't feel it at all. My wife said it was a very short jolt that lasted just a few seconds, and it was 50 kilometers west of Quillota, which means it was pretty much in the ocean above Viña del Mar, about 10 miles out, 15 kilometers out offshore, right to the north of Viña del Mar. So yeah, pretty close to the epicenter here, and something that could easily be felt for those that weren't in motion. Chileans don't get too excited about these rather small quakes. I know the rest of the world, it's a major event, going to make the news. Here it does make the newspaper just because people are curious what the actual level was that hit them, but pretty much those 5 levels are pretty common in Chile. As in the last couple of months, I've reported many of these around, well, I'd say 4.5, even to the mid-6s of earthquakes. No damage, no problems, life goes on. It's the way it is here in Chile. We also have some other news coming up having to do with student and labor union marches. The students are marching on the 8th of May, as I mentioned in last week's radio show, because they're just not happy at all with the way things are. With the new government, the socialist government's not going communist far enough. They wanted to get more out of them than they're getting, so they're going to protest a little bit. And tomorrow, May 1st, is a holiday. Everything in Chile is closed. You can't do anything because, again, the Marxists are pretty strong about that day, and the labor unions will be marching on the presidential palace to show their support for labor and so forth, even though it's a socialist government. You're listening to Red Hot Chili on the Overseas Radio Network, and we'll be right back after this break.